Okay, practice programming number 5 is a while loop exercise. When we write a while loop, what that does is it lets us run a code when a certain condition is true, or we can run a code indefinitely. We're going to learn how to run a code indefinitely. So our code will run over and over and over again, up to an infinite number of times, but not really infinite because it's going to depend on your power supply or your battery. Eventually your battery would die, so it can't truly be infinite. But in theory, a while loop could run an infinite number of times. So let's see what that would look like. We're going to open up Robot C, and the first thing we need to check is our platform type. If our platform is VEX 2.0 Cortex and natural language PLTW, we are good to go. So we're going to click on File, Open Sample Program, PLTW template, and we're going to type in all of the beginning information. Practice programming number 5. Type your name. Today's date for me is October 4th. Type whatever the date is for you, and then type your bell number. For task description, we're going to write a code that runs on an infinite loop. So on an infinite loop, we are going to wait for the bump switch to be pressed. And we're going to turn on both motors at full speed. And then we're going to wait 5 seconds. And then we're going to turn off both motors. Now again, you can leave this all over here, or you can come over and hit enter, and the code will go into the next line. So on an infinite loop, wait for the bump switch to be pressed, turn on both motors at full speed, wait 5 seconds, and then turn off both motors. So for pseudocode, we're going to write while 1 equals 1. So 1 always equals 1, yeah? Okay, that's how we're going to write an infinite loop. Our first line of code is going to be while something is always true. So you can type while 1 equals 1, or you can type while true. Both of those will give you an infinite code. I prefer 1 equals 1. If you want to do while true, that's fine as well. So while 1 equals 1, I'm going to wait for the bump switch to be pressed. Then I'm going to turn on the right motor, full speed, turn on the left motor at full speed. Then I'm going to wait 5 seconds, and then I'm going to turn off the right motor and turn off the left motor. So this code is going to be a little bit longer. It's going to be a 7-line code, but it's really simple. So the first thing I need to do is I need to get my while loop. So up here, right after task main, I'm going to put my mouse after the parentheses and I'm going to hit enter. I want to be outside of those braces. Okay, I need to type while 1 parentheses 1 equals 1. Now the reason I need 2 equal signs is because the computer is reading this, the Cortex is reading it, and it's not just a human. So I need that double equal sign to say, well, 1 equals 1, which is always true. 1 always does equal 1. My code is going to run. So this is going to be an example of an infinite code. Now, we already know how to write the rest of this code. We know how to wait for the bump switch and turn on both motors and do a wait time and turn off both motors. So under natural language, until touch, I'm going to wait until I touch the bump switch. Capital S. And then I'm going to, under movement, I'm going to turn on my right motor. I'm going to start my motor at full speed. You guys remember what full speed is? 127. And I'm going to start my left motor at 127. Then I'm going to wait 5 seconds. I am going to use a wait time in this code. I'm going to wait 5 seconds, and then I'm going to turn off both motors. So I'm going to stop the right motor, and I'm going to stop the left motor. So while 1 equals 1, I'm waiting for my bump switch. Then I'm going to start both motors at full speed, wait 5 seconds, and turn off both motors. Let's go ahead and add our comment. Oh, no, save our work. Let's save our work before we forget. File, save as, click on this PC, scroll down to where you find your name, save it in your drive, and call it Practice Programming number 5. Now let's add our comments. So up here, we've got an infinite loop. Down here, we're telling the robot to wait until the bump switch is pressed. And then we're going to turn on the right motor at full speed. Turn on the left motor at full speed. We're going to wait 5 seconds. And then we're going to turn off the right motor. And turn off the left motor. So again, if you need to pause or rewind this video at any time, please feel free to do that. Make sure your code is correct. And now we need to do our motor and sensor setup. So under motors, I've got a right motor and a left motor. I'm going to use ports 2 and 3 again, just because I can. If you use other ports, that's fine. Just make sure you're only using ports 2 through 9. Don't use port 1 or port 10. And always plug them in to the port where you tell the robot they're going to be. And for this one, we only need a bump switch. We don't need a limit switch, and it is a touch sensor. It is very important that you tell the robot what type of sensor it is. So I've got a bump switch in digital 1. It's a touch sensor. I've got a right and left motors in ports 2 and 3, and they are VEX 393 motors, and they do have a motor controller on them. So your Cortex should look like this. You should have 2 motors plugged in your motor ports. You should have a bump switch plugged into a digital port, not an analog port. If you plug a digital sensor into an analog port, it's not going to work. Don't do it. Go ahead and plug in your orange cable, plug in your battery. I'm going to compile my program to make sure I don't have any errors. Oh, I have some errors. So it wants my while loop to be inside my braces. Okay, so we're going to cut that out and put it inside of our braces. And then we're going to put more braces around our code. So our while loop does have to be inside this first set of braces, but we also need a set of braces around our code that we want to run on the loop. So your braces are right next to your P. If you look at your keyboard next to the P, there is a bracket that looks like a half a square. And above it, there's a brace. So hold the Shift key and type your open brace. Come down here, hold the Shift key and type your closed brace. So those 2 keys are right next to each other by the P. And I'm going to try that again. I'm going to compile. Now we have a proper code that's going to run on an infinite loop. It's going to wait for the bump switch. It's going to start both motors at full speed, wait 5 seconds, and stop both motors. So go ahead, get everything plugged up, save it again, and then download it to your robot. Good job, guys.